Hello and welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real with Najeh Wilkins. Hope you guys had a new year. I am back with another episode. So much to get into and discuss today. First off, we're going to be talking about major football recruiting news and offers and commitments today. A lot going on as far as the football side. Then I'll be bringing on some different guests. We're bringing on Pace Academy coach Sharman White in the second slot at 2:20. We're going to talk the major matchup against McDonough. And then I'm going to bring on Geoffrey Pierce from Grayson, boys basketball coach. They're having another phenomenal season. They're 12-4, had a victory last night, 70-60. And then in the first segment, I'll also be talking about some women's basketball, some women hoops, kind of previewing what's going on there. And then also I'll be previewing some major season that's going to be starting in about another week or two. That's going to be the soccer season, talking about the major people that are back, some of the goal and assist leaders from last year, and then breaking that down and giving you also updates there. So let's go ahead and get started with football. So first and foremost, Ben Guthrie, Alpharetta QB, who played in our Georgia League Classic, he just landed a D1 offer from Georgia State. So congrats to him. He had a great game in the Georgia League Classic. Threw for 4 touchdowns. I think over close to 300 plus yards, I believe. So shout out to Ben and that program in Alpharetta. I knew it was only a matter of time before he would land an offer, a major D1 offer, and he did that. So congrats to him. I think more are on the way. Also, Carrollton Caleb Odom, I think in December or early January, received a Colorado offer. So kind of entertaining the idea. He is a 4-star. Be interested to see if he decides to go there. As you know, Deion Sanders is there in Colorado. He's been getting some major recruits. I think he just got the commitment from Eric Brantley Jr. from Valdosta, and he got another commitment from another Valdosta player as well. So recruiting heavy and fierce, and they're saying he might even be able to land Cormani McLean, who I think is the #1 corner in the class. So we'll be see what happens with his commitment and how quick he's going to commit. It's either, I think it's between Miami and Colorado, so that'll be really interesting. Then freshman Tyler Atkinson, who will be a sophomore next year, he received an Arkansas offer. Just a really good freshman linebacker to continue to rack up those offers. He plays at Grayson High School. Trajan Greco, who just won a state championship with Mill Creek Hawks, he received a Troy University offer. So he's been played well the past couple seasons. He's a defensive back. Antoine Hill, who we saw in the playoffs against Gainesville, quarterback, plays for Houston County. He received 2 offers recently, Louisville offer, and he just received one today, a Notre Dame offer. So Antoine Hill, sophomore quarterback, getting some major offers. So he had a really good season. I think, next year he's only going to get better. Cole Mullins out there in Mill Creek as well. He received a UNC offer and a Troy offer as well. So major news there. Bailey Stockton, who was actually impressed, has been receiving a lot of Georgia offers lately. If you guys don't know, he received, I believe, an offer from Georgia. Then he received one recently from, he toured Georgia State, so they were really interested in him, but he just received a Georgia Southern offer. So shout out to Bailey Stockton. He played for Prince Avenue Christian along with Aaron Philo, Ethan Christian. And he played really well. He played with a broken collarbone, so he's starting to get his offers coming in. And then also today, Hayden Clark committed to Washburn University. That is the quarterback from Mill Creek, who also won a state championship. Had a really good junior season this year. I think he only had 2 total interceptions. It was kind of a balanced team. He was responsible for the read option, reading the guys and defenses really well this year. I think he had 22 touchdowns. He broke a couple single season records this year. He had a phenomenal season. So Hayden Clark commits to Washburn University, and then his fellow teammate as well, Brendan Jenkins, son of former Falcons receiver, just committed to Samford. Major news there. They are getting a steal there. I definitely think so with Brendan Jenkins. I think he's going to bring a lot to their football team. So he just announced his commitment, I think, about 45 minutes ago. More news. Centennial High School is actually looking for a head coach. I think their deadline that they're going to stop with the interviews is going to be in February. I think February 3rd is what I saw. Yes, Centennial High School is looking for a coach. Chad Pickett was named Forsyth Central's head coach. If you guys don't know, he was offensive coordinator at Denmark since 2018, a team that's went to 4 straight playoff appearances. Being the former offensive coordinator there, he's going to be the Forsyth Central head coach. They actually played against each other this season. So it's kind of ironic that it was the last game of their regular season that they played them and they lost. But be interesting to see what Pickett can bring to Forsyth Central. They've had consecutive seasons of 2-8 seasons, and they have not made the playoffs since 2018. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of happens there. And then also former Collins Hill coach, and state champion Lennon Gregory just signed on as the new head coach at Gordon Central. So yes, Lennon Gregory will be the new head coach at Gordon Central. So curious to see what he's doing, what he's able to do there. He was the state championship coach for Collins Hill, that team that won, I believe, it's 2020. Had a lot of talent. Ethan Davis, I believe, Travis Hunter, Sam Horn, and many, many others. So, yep, he's leaving Collins Hill, and now he's the new head coach at Gordon Central. So, be interested to see what happens there. And then a little bit more on the football tip. Two teams I thought had phenomenal seasons. Langston Hughes, they won 6A Deer Park Nature Team of the Year award this past season for their 15-0 season. Just phenomenal play by them. We knew all year they, pretty much handled their business. Blowing out opponents. It's just offense that was rolling, led by Prentice Aaron Nolan, 55 touchdowns, 4 interceptions all season long. He really had a great season. Just a bunch of studs on their team. Bo Hughley, Jaden Barnes, Jaquel Meadowbrooks, just a lot of studs on their team. And then Cedartown also won 4A Deer Park Nature Team of the Year. Great team. Came down towards the end, needed just 1 yard to host the state title, have an undefeated season, but Benedictine comes up with the big stop there. And, they were able to win the game. So that's what I got for you guys as far as football news. It's a lot going on as far as the recruiting tip. A lot of kids getting offers. Brunswick tight end actually received major offers this past week. I didn't mention him, but he got a Alabama offer, I think a Virginia Tech offer, and a Georgia offer. So, and Woodward Academy, I wanted to bring them up as well. A lot of their players, 2024, 2025, and 2026 class, a lot of their players are receiving major offers. Alabama is one of them. Virginia Tech, just the major D1 programs in schools. So I don't know what's going on with Woodward Academy, but they've been receiving major offers this past week. So very interesting to say the least. Now let's go ahead and go to hoops. So last night, if you guys don't know, Central Gwinnett, they're not having their best season, but they have now won 3 straight. They're 5-16. They got a game winner last night in overtime. This is the boys' side of things, notching their 3rd straight victory. They get their first sweep of discovery since that high school was open. John Mark had the game-tying free throws and the game-winning shot. Malik Rideout had 18 points in that game. If you have not seen that video, definitely go check it out. Go to Central Gwinnett's Knights Twitter to go see it. Certainly a very big win for the program as they try to get back on track, but certainly a very big game. In other news, Ace Bailey, forward for McEachern, standout 6'10", long, has a lot of athleticism, just recently committed to the Rutgers University. I've seen some of his tape. He's a really good player, plays both ends of the floor really well. I think he's going to be a great addition to the Rutgers University. I think they landed an absolute stud in Ace Bailey. And then more on the men's side, I was able to actually go check out some games this past week. It was Cal versus GAC out there in 5A. So I was able to see, I'll start with the men's side. I just thought like their full court press, they ended up winning, I think 78-34. Their full court press was just unbelievable all game long. I think they only had about 5 points going into the second quarter. GAC did, and they had no answers to the full court press / trap because as soon as the player would bring it up, they had 2 guys pressing him really hard, and it just created a whole bunch of turnovers. I think a total of 26 turnovers GAC committed in that game. So just absolutely incredible defense. They were pushing the ball in transition. They were making life tough when they were able to get to the basket. Big 7-foot Peyton Marshall finished that game with 14 points, 4 boards, and 2 blocks. Definitely a menace in the paint. Makes it difficult for you when you're able to drive past the guards. That rim is pretty much got a lid on it when he's in there. So he had a good game. Also, Paris Johnson Jr. finished with 14 points. He had also an excellent game. And then Aaron Smith, he's actually committed to Alabama A&M on the defensive end. He was really sparking in that game. 5 steals, really just very disruptive, creating a lot of havoc there on the defensive end. So those guys, Cal right now 15-2, only a couple losses this season. They did lose to Grayson in the overtime game, 71-67. I'm definitely probably going to have to ask Coach Pierce when he comes on how that game was and if they use that same full court press / trap, because you'll see in different games teams will use different metrics. They'll try zone, they'll try press, they'll try man, they'll try traps, just different things that kind of throw the offense off. So I'm curious to see if they run that just all around, or was it kind of a scouting report thing? They saw, okay, maybe GAC struggles with this a little bit. So we'll find out. We'll see. But that's what stood out to me. Also on the men's side, I'm going to go to this game. I'm excited. It's 4A showdown between Pace Academy and McDonough. I believe, according to Score ATL rankings, this is number one and I believe number two in our rankings right now. Both teams are at the top of the region with 6-0 records. So a major stakes game on Friday night. I think they're going to play one more time later on in the season. But I mean, if you want to get a little bit of a region advantage and get that one seed, this game is going to be very important. And I mean, both teams have incredible players. On the McDonough side, you got Amon McDowell. He's been a starter since the sophomore season. That was supposed to be a rebuilding year for them, but he was able to step in and really have a great season. And it's a really senior led group. I think they have four seniors, and I think one junior that gets them a lot of their playing time. And I think it's a team that knows what they need to do and are trying to get to the apex of it. They lost last year 42-39 to Westover. So I think they took that and they've been letting it fuel them for this season. I think all their losses this year have been from out-of-state teams. De'Avion Thomas, which is also another interesting story when I was able to talk to Coach William Thomas for McDonough. He won Player of the Year in his first year of playing varsity last year, and he didn't even start until his junior year. So that was his first year starting, and he won Player of the Year. He actually transferred over there, and he couldn't play varsity basketball because of the transfer rules, so he had to play JV. But actually, him getting time and leading them in scoring last year, he won Player of the Year. Took in a little bit of not as much. He's third in scoring on the team, but Mohamed Dal is leading them. But I think this is a team that's very, very dangerous and been playing really well. And then Kyle Green for Pace Academy, he leads them at points per game, 14.9, assists per game, 6.7, and then steals per game, 3.3. So I definitely want to talk to him and see what kind of impact and what Kyle Green really means to that team, because he's having a phenomenal season and he leads them in a lot of categories this year. So I think that'll be really intriguing to see, what Kyle Green has meant to the team. And then going to the women's side, I also saw that game as well. 65-50 score. Crystal Henderson. I mean, what can I say? She's just a baller. She's a boss. She had 27 points in that game. She really caught fire in the third quarter. Second quarter, she had to actually sit down because she was in foul trouble. I was able to talk to the coach after the game, and she wants to just keep building and building and, getting better, shoring up some things like their turnovers and things like that. But I'll say this. They went on a 10-0 run in the second quarter, and what really stood out to me was their zone. Their zone was causing havoc for GAC, and they couldn't really break the zone. They were either committing turnovers or they were getting bad shots. And I think that has to be, up front with Jemiah Gregory. I thought she had a great game defensively. She was causing turnovers. She was making it difficult. She was the kind of the leader, the communicator in that game. And then, that really stood out to me. And then, obviously, GAC, they made a run in that game as well. They made things interesting in the fourth. They cut the lead to 11 after it was about 20-plus point lead. But, it was just too much. Micaiah Harris ends up hitting 2 dagger threes, and they end up pulling away, and Kel wins the game. But, yeah, Crystal Henderson, third quarter. It was still kind of a game. I think it was a double-digit game. It was like 10, 12 points. She comes in. She hits 4 consecutive threes, essentially, in a layup. Her shot form, I think, is great. She's not the biggest guard. She's only 5'6", so you might see, like, more offenses try to, exploit her or try to go at her. But offensively, I mean, she has all the tools in the book. She can slash, get to the lane. She can shoot a midi. She can shoot three really well. So she's somebody you got to keep your eye on. You got to keep focused on. And somebody that I think is having an incredible season. I definitely think she should be D1 bound. She can really play. So that's what stood out to me. And then also congratulations to Woodward Academy's girls basketball head coach, Kim Lawrence. She received the Georgia Coach of the Year award for the 2021-2022 season. That was last year. Their girls finished back-to-back state champions and with a record of 29-2. So shout out to Kim Lawrence out there in Woodward Academy. Again, a place that's been having some success with the football, the ladies basketball, just a team in the high school been performing great lately in sports. And then I also wanted to talk about some signature wins this past week. River Ridge picking up some big ones. They defeated undefeated Buford last Saturday by 2 points, 53-51 on the road. Buford was undefeated up until that point. And in that game, River Ridge had 3 players in double figures. Sophia Pearl had a great game in that one. And they were also able to pick up a win against Sequoia. So coming up tomorrow, they're going to play Creekview as they continue to try to, with their region success, definitely a big game against Creekview. I think that one's on the road, but River Ridge has been playing really well. And, I mean, to go and beat a 7A pretty much powerhouse out there in ladies basketball on the road and to kind of secure that victory and have 3 of your players scoring double figures, I think they're playing some of the best basketball right now. So Shout out to River Ridge and then Forest Park. In my game of the week this past week, I had Rockdale County and Forest Park. Forest Park defeated them 54-50. I think it was last Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. But now they've swept the series. They won 54-41 on Tuesday night. And then Yasmin Allen carried the load for them on offensive end. She scored 29 points. Only one other person was in double figures that night. But they got a really, really big game coming up. They're going to be playing defending state champions Lovejoy at home. So that's going to be a big game. Lovejoy, if you guys didn't know, they are the defending 6A state champions. So I think that game between those two will be really, really intriguing. I can't wait to see what happens in that one. As you guys don't know, Lovejoy is a really talented group. And those two are kind of trying to fight for that region #1 seed. So we'll see who kind of comes out and wins that game on Friday night. I think that would be really intriguing. So that's what I got as far as hoops and the major games to look out for and the major news. Let's go to the soccers now. So soccer season is about 2 weeks away. Definitely going to be doing updates on my podcast, talking about the season. I might even go to a few games, try to have a couple coaches, some guests on the shows as well. But just looking at last year's winners in 2022, I'll start with 1A. It was Atlanta International. 2A was Dalton Academy. 3A was Pace Academy. 4A was Great Atlanta Christian. 5A was SE Whitfield. Excuse me. I think 6A was Lassiter, and then 7A was Harrison. So those are the winners from the boys' side last year. As far as the girls, 7A is going to be West Forsyth, 6A Lassiter. 5A was actually vacated. I'm not sure what happened there. I have to do some research on that one, see what happened. Then 4A was Marist, 3A was Westminster, 2A was Lovett, 1A Division 2 was Social Circle, and then 1A Division 1 was Pinecrest. So that's who won last year as far as the soccer goes. We could start with as far as the goals. We'll start with the boys' side. Matthew Webb had a really good season. He had 57 goals for Pike County. He was a senior, so he graduated. Andrew Geyer for Thomasville had 52. He graduated as well. He was a senior. Matthew Lewis for Thomasville as well. Two high goalkeepers for Thomasville. He had 42. Juan Sanchez, Pickens County, had 38 last year. Kyle Beasley, senior as well. Lake Oconee Academy, 37. Mateo Baranga, Atlanta International, had 36. Jose Sanchez from Portal had 35. Johnny Valle from Commerce had 35. Jose Sanchez, also a senior. Pickens County had 32. And then Ethan Gill for Woodward Academy had 31. All right, and going to the girls' side, he had Ivy Tolbert, sophomore. Commerce, she had 104 goals. It's kind of incredible. Peyton Brooks, sophomore. Social Circle had 72. Tess Preston, senior last year. Social Circle as well, 68 goals. Elizabeth Crane, senior. Pinecrest Academy had 61. Allie Ross Jr., Westminster, had 49. Mary House Jr., Bremen, had 48. Clara Jane Williams Jr., Athens Academy, had 48. Annabelle Orozco Jr., Fayette County, had 47. Kara Kroon Chambly had 46. And then Kennedy Moore from Luella had 46. So I'm excited. I know Score Atlanta covers definitely soccer. I don't know to what extent, but I know last year I looked up some things and they had some rankings out. So I'm excited to kind of talk soccer. It's a sport for me personally that I've been getting more into lately, especially on the world side of it. The World Cup was incredible. If you guys didn't see it, Argentina ended up beating France, who was a really dominant bunch. I actually had France going to the World Cup final and winning. Well, not winning, but had them going. A lot of people looked at me crazy, especially with the multitude of injuries they had going. But it's just a sport. I think that's great. It gets a lot of people into it. The major, tournaments they have, the youth for the Carabao Cups, the English FA Cups. So it's a sport that's on the rise, is growing, especially here in the States. So definitely trying to get more into it, watch more people. It's a fun sport when you're able to watch it. It's like culmination and brings people together. So I enjoy watching. So on my show, that's streaming year round now, definitely going to be, breaking things down like that, and talking about it. And as far as the football, man, I mean, just incredible for these kids. At the end of the day, that's what it's about. Being able to play, live out your dream on the next level. And a lot of these kids are going to get to do it. So definitely excited for them. And sometimes it's not about having that major Power 5 offer. Sometimes you can do a mid-major. And as our Craig Sager says, walk on, show your potential, show what you can do, and then go there and just ball out, and the opportunity will come. Yes, Stetson Bennett's a great example. Went from I think he was walk on to JUCO, and then now look, he's a two-time national champion, and now he's looking like he's going to be going into the draft. I don't know when he'll be picked, but nonetheless, he should be picked. So yeah, man, just you got to make your mark, make your story, and I think that's the biggest thing. And I love covering football, man. It was a great year for me this year, past year, covering it. I was able to go to some games, do some sideline reporting. I was able to call a game from the booth. I mean, yeah, football is definitely by far my favorite sport than basketball and soccer. So that's what I got for you guys as far as the news and the biggest things going on. Hope you guys enjoyed that section. Think I'm gonna keep that as far as just news and updates around high school sports for you guys. First 20 minutes of the show, but we're gonna take a quick break. I should be back on the other side with head coach from Pace Academy, Sharman White. So I'll see you guys in a second. All right, guys, we are back. This is Sharman White from Pace Academy. Excited to have him on today, Coach. How you doing today?
Doing well, and yourself?
Doing good, Coach. I really appreciate you coming on. I had to do my research. You've had an illustrious career, Coach. Before we get into your coaching career, Coach, you got to tell me where'd your love for basketball come from? Did you play in high school? And how cool was it, Coach, just to be able to coach Team USA?
Yes, to all of that. I grew up just loving the sport. The ironic part was I grew up like coaching kids in the community. Like when I was like 7 or 8 years old, I was just getting a group of little small kids together, trying to make them do certain things, and didn't know I was going to have that kind of love for it after the fact. Yeah, I knew I wasn't going to NBA or anything like that. This is a way for me to stay connected to the game and having the experiences of what that $20 basketball has been able to provide me has been unreal. um, you know being able to coach USA basketball, being able to represent our country, it's almost, I won't say it's on the same level as serving in the military, but it gives you that comfortable feeling of being able to serve your country and being able to represent your country.
Yes, sir, certainly. And Coach, for you in your career, being able to coach Team USA, and then when you were at Miller Grove, Coach, you had an 82% win percentage. So who was kind of coach for you that mentor when you were young? I know you said you've been doing it since you were 7, 8, coaching the little kids, but who was that mentor when you wanted to get into the game and get your feet wet that kind of had that profound impact on you and your coaching?
It was Carter Wilson. He's the former coach at Decatur High School. He coached my older brother, and once I got into coaching, he really kind of gave me a lot of the ins and outs of what needs to happen to be successful. And so he's been a long time mentor of mine. I still call him, frequently to this day, ask him different things, but he's been great, and he's a legend in the game. And so he was the guy for me that that I can directly relate to. But I've had mentors afar too, but he's the one that's I can just see this matter of a drive down the street.
Nice. And for you, coach, what are some things, you just implement for your team out of everything you've learned, all the experience you've had, for example, okay, Pace Academy, you know, what are some things you tell your team, start of the camp to where they are, now?
It's all about commitment, you know, to wanting to be great. I think, that's where it starts at. That doesn't always translate to championship, but just the idea of wanting to be the best you can be, I think it ends up being, a successful outcome. And so I try to make sure our guys understand that and try to make sure that I mimic that, and without what I do, I tell them I'm the hardest working person in the program. I know you run a lot of suicides. I know you run up and down the floor, and I know you got to get banged on a little bit, but I'm always working, tirelessly for this program. And so I try to, let them see that part of me and let them see how that translates to success. Because, I say this all the time, but the wins came second. It wasn't that. It was the fact that I'm just, trying to thrive in my purpose, what I feel like I'm put here for, and being able to make sure it happens and everything else take care of itself.
Yes, sir. And let's talk about last season, Coach. You had a playoff run, you lost. What do you think your players took from that that's helped fuel them going into this season? Another great start this year, 12-4. I think you're still undefeated in the region. What are some things you think your players took from that can like help them fuel them into going into this region run and then hopefully in the playoffs?
Well, I mean, anytime you fall short of your goal, and our goal was to win a state championship last year, like it is every year, it doesn't change. You know, to fall short, it stings, but sometimes that's good. And I think it's served our guys, well now. At the time, it probably didn't feel real good when it happened,
Right.
but back on it, how they've grown, and we were very young last year, and we lost one of our best players, all of that, but through it all, these guys have found a way to circle the wagons and make sure that they understand what it means to continue to try to strive to reach our goal, which again this year is to try to finish playing the last game of the year and winning.
Yes, sir. And let's talk about that earlier loss this year. You played a national program. You played Mater Day. You only lost by 3 points. What do you remember from that game, Coach? What stood out to you? And what do you think? Same thing. Your team learned kind of from that game.
Yeah, Modern Day is a program that's been synonymous, throughout over the around the country throughout, the years. They've had a lot of great players, a lot of NBA players play there. So it was an honor just to be able to play them. Got a legendary coach who's won over 1,500 games. And we were right there. Had, in our opinion, we just had a bad third quarter. We were playing them, tit for tat throughout the whole game, and just had a bad third quarter. And we tried to overcome it, and we almost did, and fell up a little bit short. But we learned a lot from that game. Learned a lot from playing a team of that caliber. A top 25 in the country. As for our young guys, it was an eye opening experience for them.
Yes, sir. And tell me about who for you, Coach, is the leader of your team. I want to talk a little bit about Kyle Green. It may be him, it may not be him. But first, tell me who's the leader of your team, and then the second part to that question, Kyle Green, is guy leading you in points, steals, assists. What kind of impact does he bring to your team, both on the court and off the court?
Well, he's one of our leaders. There's no doubt. I mean, he's a point guard, or he's one of our point guards. Actually have 2 point guards, but he's definitely a leader on the team. But his feel for the game, his IQ, his ability to be able to make teammates better is what makes him a really, really good player. And he's got a chance to really do some great things in his basketball career. But we also have other guys. Kendall Evans, a senior, who's been a part of 2 state championship teams here with us, and Davis Rice, who's been a part of 1 state championship team, along with Ben Leach and LJ Moore. These guys have been around, and they all have state championships to be able to um, punctuate their careers and what they bring to our program. Um, you know, we got other guys though, like Eric Chatfield and Jackson Ferry and Chandler Bean, that all were a part of our team last year, and they got some valuable time in as freshmen. But now they're a little older, and they've shown that through not only through their play but through their maturity, uh, as far as being comparable guys that can help lead as well.
Yes, sir. And I was just about to ask you that. As far as Eric Chatfield, you say he's another in your point guard. So, do you also you rotate him in there with Kyle Green? Do they play together? And how well do they kind of complement each other?
Yeah, we play them together. I think I've had some of my better teams, even at Miller Grove, and I've had 2 lead guards, and that's what we kind of got here. They can play, either one can play off the ball. It makes it kind of hard to press us. It makes it a little bit challenging because both of them can handle the ball very well. They are unselfish. They can find guys when they're open, and they just kind of play off each other really, really well. And it's exciting to watch them play together. But not only that, watch them how they keep all their teammates involved and play well to
Sure.
where guys feel like it's not just about them.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking on that, really good guards you have. Tell me a little bit about the interior, coach. How has that been for you this season? I know you got some really good experience there, but how have they been, this season on the boards, on the glass, defending, and things like that?
It's all been a progression. We started off. I thought we were not as good a defensive team as I would like for us to be to start off, and then we just we continually just getting better at it, and rebounding the same thing. We've gotten better and better, and that's the way we want to be. We want to continue to trend up. Like I say, beginning of the year, I could not say that we were the kind of defensive team I would want us to be, but we are definitely closer to the defensive team I would like for us to be. So we're just trying to move it and take it one step at a time, one day at a time. Our guys are getting more confident by the day, but we're going to continue to just work.
Yes, sir. And quick question on that, Coach. You mentioned you weren't where you wanted to be, but you're getting closer to where you want to be defensive as a team. So for you, Coach, I know you work tirelessly. Do you just work on things in practice? Like, okay, hey, we're going to run this set on defense. We're going to run a 3-2 or a 2-3, or hey, we're going to try more press on the defense side of the floor. What kind of helped you get more to where you want to be defensively? What are some things you implemented?
Just reps, film work, teaching, learning from them. And that's how you get better. You don't get better by just talking about it. You have to you have to do things in order to cultivate what it is that you want. And so like I said, we watch film, we, do reps in practice. We put emphasis on certain things that we might not be doing well. Just all the things that can help us improve. And so that's basically it.
Yes, sir. And let's talk about the matchup. Big one tomorrow night. You're playing McDonough. Both teams are top of the region. What stands out to you on film when you watch McDonough play? Obviously, senior-led group. Guys have played together for a while now. Alan McDowell kind of leads them. But what stands out to you on film when you watch them?
Oh man, it's a really good group. I mean, they're talented, they're athletic, they're fast. Do a lot of good things, and they're experienced. They've been to two Final Fours, I think, in the last 2 years. So, really good team, and looking forward to just matching up with them.
Yes, sir. And have you played against? This is just a curious question. Have you played against Coach William Thomas before? And I know you've been kind of all over Miller Grove and Team USA. Have you matched up against him before?
No, I have not. Not to my
Okay.
knowledge. I don't know. I don't think
No,
we've played
first time.
against. Yeah.
Got you. Okay. And then let's talk more about your team again, Coach. Who's been a guy, I feel like every season, whatever sport, it's always a guy that kind of is a big surprise for you, whether they're putting more time in, whether they're, making an impact on both sides of the floor. Who's kind of been that big surprise for you this season that's kind of grown up for you?
I mean, we really brought back most of our team. So to say a surprise, when you be around these guys, 10 months, 10 to 11 months out of the year, some of the stuff you kind of, you can see it coming and you're not really surprised by it because you kind of saw it from the outset. But I would say probably when our freshman, MJ Madison, has been, a pretty pleasant surprise. He first time playing, high school basketball, and he's only 14, and he'll be 14 till June. But a
Wow.
lot of times when he's on the court, you don't feel like he's 14, and so that's been pretty good. But even in that, we still challenge him to be getting better and become even more of a factor for us.
Yes, sir. And for you, Coach, seeing the team where they were and where they are now, what's an area you want them to continue to kind of harp on and continue to focus on just to improve, if you had to say?
Just everything, man. I mean, you don't want to feel like you've accomplished, or you've achieved what you want to achieve with, more than got 9 games left in the regular season, and you got, playoffs and hopefully more basketball after that. So we want to improve in every area if we can. That's just the bottom line. We can't say one area over the other because we're not proficient in any areas to the point where I want to say we can leave that alone and go on to something else. I want to continue to just improve and develop in every area of the game.
Yes, sir. And let me ask you this too, Coach. Do you every coach is different as far as hoops and things like that, but do you like make it mandatory your players play another sport like conditioning wise, running track, during the off season and things like that? Is there any stipulations you give your team, before they come into the season, or is it just, hoops, kind of 24/7?
No, man, it's pretty much up to them. I mean, like some kids, we have dual sport kids. We got some that play football. We got some that play soccer. We got one or two that play baseball. So they're involved in other things. But like we do have some guys that are that serious about their basketball game as well. So we totally leave it up to them. We don't require them to do. Being a student at Pace Academy, not it's not easy by any stretch of the imagination. So you have to be very mindful of these kids and their mental capacity of being able to balance school and athletics. And so you don't try to add more when you don't have to. And these kids participate. We only got like 525 students, so a lot of them have to play two or three sports, and they're fine with it. But you don't want to,
Right.
tell them they have to do it. I don't. I just don't think. I didn't even do that at Miller Grove.
Got you. Okay, so you just kind of let them do the thing. I get that. Yeah, I've been surprised this season interviewing some coaches. Some say they do, some say they don't. So, we definitely wanted to see, your thoughts on that. But looking again at the matchup, just from an offensive perspective, coach, how do you plan to kind of attack them? I guess we'll start offense and then do defense. So, offensively, what's kind of without revealing too much, what's kind of your game plan, and then defensively, do you like to mix things up, run press, zone, or just kind of see however the matchup, however it goes?
No, man. I mean, we're just gonna try to, be who we are and take what they give us. You know what I mean? Because they're going to try to take some things away, but hopefully we'll find some things that we'll be able to get from what they try to take away, and be good basketball players and play the game the right way, so we can be able to exploit some of those things. And defensively, we're just going to try to get stops. I mean, that's
Yes,
what it's
sir.
about at the end of the day. Not you can have every different strategy and scheme and all that stuff, but it's about securing the basketball and keeping them from scoring. Because I always say that if we score, we might win, but if they never score, we'll never lose. And so that's the way we look at it, and it's from a defensive perspective.
Yes, sir. Two more questions, Coach, before I let you go. If you had to say, you know, what would kind of be the identity, if you had to say, of your team this season? Something you can kind of, your calling card, something you kind of hang your hat on. I'm gonna get this, every night.
They're gonna play together. They play together as a group. This team is really in sync with each other, and they play well together as a group. So we're gonna play as a team and see how far that takes us. It's been pretty good so far, and we've lost some games, but we never lost our team. So that's the big thing.
Yes, sir. And final question, Coach, before I let you go. You said the ultimate goal is kind of to win that state title. But if you had to outline anything, those daily deposits, just what do you expect from this team this year? What's your
Go out and give it
expectation?
everything. Go out and give it everything they got, man. Let's see where it goes. I mean, stay together as a team,
Yep.
play hard, and put the team.
Got you. Well, I want to say, Mr. White, a pleasure interviewing today. Thank you so much for coming on the show and taking your time out to come on my show. It was a lot of fun interviewing and kind of learning more about Pace Academy.
All right, thank you so much for having me.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
All right.
All right, guys, that was Pace Academy's Sharman White, Team USA coach. Again, very illustrious career, man. Just real quick talking about him before I wrap and we go to break. Um, let's see. Completed his fourth season with 21 with as head basketball coach for Pace Academy in Georgia. Um, Last year, he led his team to a 25-5 record, 6A championship. They went to the second round of the state tournament previous two seasons. Um, he also led Pace to consecutive state championships in 3A and also 2A. Combined record of 56-6. Um, he's also compiled a record of 474 wins to 111 losses, 81% in 24 seasons as a high school head coach. Excuse me. Prior to Pace Academy, he was an assistant at Georgia State for two seasons. He helped them to a 44-24 record, including a 24-11 campaign and NCAA tournament appearance. And then before there, like I said, he was at Miller Grove. He led them to a 268-60 record, including six straight state championships. So he also won 2014 USA Today All USA Coach of the Year. And then he guided Miller Grove to 2009, 2012 Georgia Class 4A title. So, excuse me, he definitely has an illustrious career. Has done a lot for the game. A great mentor probably a great role model as well. But he's having success. But again, I think Friday night, if you don't have a ticket and you're not doing nothing, going to Madonna Pace Academy, I think is going to be the ticket in town. Definitely want to check it out. But we're gonna go to a short break, and after we're gonna bring on Grayson Coach Geoffrey Pierce.
Our mission has always been to support Georgia farmers. That's why we created Georgia Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company, providing financial protection that farmers needed. While this remains the same today, we've grown to protect all Georgians through home, auto, and life insurance. From the very beginning and into the future, we stand for every Georgia community.
We are our Farm Bureau.
All right, guys, we are back. So, moving on to Grayson. Before I bring Coach on, we can actually just look at them, far as how they've been playing this season, who they played, their record, and what kind of just stands out there in the 7A basketball. They got some pretty good teams in their region as well. They got Newton, South Gwinnett's in there. They just played Parkview, won 70-60. They're 12-4 this season, 3-0 region record. One of their losses was to Pebblebrook, a really good team as well. And then the other teams were Florida teams, Rivera Prep, excuse me, Segmont, they played this year, and then they lost recently to John Marshall Monday. So, yeah, they got a big game coming up. They're going to play tomorrow night. They play South Gwinnett. It's a home game for them, region game. South Gwinnett's actually 13-5, so that's another good game, I think, Friday night between those two teams. And then Tuesday night, they're going to play Newton, also a very good team. They're also undefeated in the region. So I think you're going to see a three-team race there between those three teams kind of battling it out. And then definitely going to ask Coach about the Kell game that they played earlier in the year. They played in January. Overtime game, definitely want to get his thoughts on that game, kind of what happened. And, if they was running that same full court kind of trap I was seeing when I watched them play GAC. So I think that would be very intriguing. But, yeah. Team has had a great season. I think last year I believe they were 25-5. Let me make sure.
All those close losses.
Yeah, right, exactly. 20-9 last year. Again, played some good teams. They played Wheeler. That was one of their losses last year. I think they made it all the way. Let's see where they made it to last year. They made it pretty deep. They went to, looks like, went to the fourth round and lost to Berkmar. I think that was in the semifinals too. I think Berkmar played Norcross actually for the state championship in 7A. So we'll see. It's a lot of good teams out there in 7A, especially this year. I mean, you got Grayson. Look out for it. Norcross is going to have something to say. Wheeler is going to have something to say. Newton's going to have something to say. So, I mean, I think you're going to have a really good tournament this year between these teams. But, yeah, they've had a good year thus far. I mean, I can't wait to find out more for the team. Actually, who plays on their team is Kylan Fox, guy who's been receiving a lot of football offers. A guy that's pretty good. He plays for them as well. So I'm curious to see, what kind of impact he's had on their team this season. That'll be really intriguing to see. Sophomore Amir Taylor, I've seen he's been in a lot of, headlines this year. Certainly a stud. He's been really impressive in the paint. Defending, getting shots off, things like that. He's also been impressive. And then Jakari Harris is another guy, junior. He's been having another good season. So just wanted to see his team, some players who's been stepping up for them. Really good team. And seeing if they can get as far as they went last year. It was only a 5-point loss to Berkmar. So I think that'll be really interesting. But I actually got some news real quick before he comes on because I don't think he's on yet. Craig kind of told me about this. So Whitewater is going to retire Duggar's jersey. So Whitewater High School retired the football jersey of alumni Kyle Duggar. He's currently a standout with the New England Patriots. As part of the senior night celebration on February 3rd, Duggar is the first athlete in school history to reach the top level of any professional league. As a tribute to Duggar's number 3, the school is selling tickets to the game for $3 on January 30th, 31st, and February 1st. His jersey will be retired at halftime of the boys' game against North Clayton. Duggar was best known as a basketball player at the school. Didn't start on the football team until his senior season. Signed with Lenore Rye, a Division II school in North Carolina, and went on to the Patriots' second-round pick in 2020. Duggar finished the season with 78 tackles, 1 sack, 3 interceptions, and a fumble recovery, and became the first Patriots defender since 1970 to score 3 defensive touchdowns in the season. And then this was quoted. Rashad Moyai, the girls' basketball coach and assistant football coach, said, he's come back and talked to our kids before, and he's told them that you don't have to go to a big school to get to the NFL. It's all about how hard you're willing to work. So that name sounds familiar. I'm going to look him up real quick. Let's see. He plays for the Patriots. Oh, yeah, he did good this season. 39 solos, forced fumble, a sack, 3 interceptions. Let's see. I didn't even know he played for them. See, this year he had 8 pass defense, 3 interceptions. Interesting. I never knew he went to Whitewater. Yeah, I mean, again, what I was saying earlier, I think it's a great example. You see a lot of kids try to go Power 5, which is good, but I think now, especially with the proliferation of the kind of the transfer portal and kids, only staying for a semester, semester and a half, maybe even a year, they're deciding to leave after. So I think it's really important to consider and think about, doing what's best for you. It doesn't necessarily have to be a major D1 school. It could be a mid-major. It could be a D2, a D3 school. You'll see players, end up getting into the league. It's just all about your talent at that point and how much work you're willing to put in, I think. So sometimes the D1 might not be. It might be a place where you can get groomed and developed. So obviously he's a testament to that, and he's going to have a big night at the end of the month and towards the beginning of February. So, shout out to him. I never knew he went to Whitewater High School. So he's making definitely a name for himself, and they're going to retire his jersey. So congrats and credit to Kyle Duggar for showing that you can do it another way and still be ultra successful. So shout out to him. Craig, any news on Pierce? Has he joined yet?
I was just going to say Duggar grew 4 inches from his junior to senior year.
Really?
Yeah, went from 5'10", 6'2", and became pretty much a starter on basketball. And then that was his only year of football. Then went to a small school, and now he's starting for the Patriots. It's pretty impressive.
That is pretty impressive. Interesting. Okay. All right, guys. Y'all give me 1 sec. I'm going to just see if Coach still coming on. All right. Just texting him. We'll see what happens there. There's also some other major matchups. Let's see. I'm going to highlight as well. Let's see. Okay, another team out there. I think they are in, let's see, 4A, Griffin. Yeah, they're having a good season too. They're 14-3 this year, 82% win percentage, 5-0 right now in the region. Lost to Kale again. Kale is a really good basketball team. I think they're number 2 in our score Atlanta rankings as well. So it's a team that's, having a phenomenal year. Defend really well. Yeah, they've had some tough games. Like they played Langston Hughes recently. And they played Grayson. So two game losing streak currently right now for them, but I wouldn't be too worried. Both of those games were non-region, so I think they'll be fine. But Griffin right now leads our rankings. I'm gonna touch on those real quick. But right now our rankings just came out, so make sure you go to scoreatl.com. I'm gonna highlight them just really quick. 7A Leading out right now is Brookwood, then it goes Archer, Buford, Norcross, Campbell, Peachtree Ridge, North Paulding. This is also the girls' side. Um, South Forsyth, McEachern, Hillgrove. Then in 6A, we got River Ridge, Forest Park, Woodward Academy, Lovejoy, Brunswick, Rockdale County, who has had two recent losses right now to Forest Park, Veterans, New Manchester. 9 is Tift County, 10 is Hughes. 5A, Warner Robins, Cale, Hiram, Bridewell Institute, Jackson, Atlanta, Union Grove, Arabia Mountain, Jones County, Cambridge, and Statesboro. We'll leave it there. I think we just got Coach Geoffrey Pierce on, so definitely going to talk to him. Hey, Coach, what's going on?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I appreciate you coming on, Coach.
Oh, no worries, no worries. Glad to be on.
Yes, sir. So, for you, Coach, you've had a few stops as a head coach. Before we get into your team, you've been in Grayson for a little while now. What to you has been the most valuable thing you think you've learned, along the way?
Um, well, actually, before I got the head job at Grayson, I was an assistant at Meadow Creek for 6 years. So, Grayson was my first head coaching job. So I worked under a veteran coach, Billy Davis. He has like 30 years in the game. So just the thing I learned most from him was just whatever the standard is you establish for your program, you can't really bend on it. You know what I mean? You just got to be consistent with it and demand it every day. So if I took anything from my experience working with Coach D, that was pretty much the biggest thing. I was blessed to be in a situation where he was older at the time, right when I first started working with him. So he kind of let me, run some things at practice, do some things at practice, and I was able to kind of see what could work and what might not work. So I was able to take those experiences with me to Grayson and not repeat the same mistakes, so to speak, because some of the stuff I tried at Meadow Creek worked and some of it didn't work, but it still serves me the same way. So I'll always be grateful for my time working with Coach Davis.
Yes, sir. And for you, I found out too that you played in high school. You went to Central Gwinnett High School. When you was there, Coach, what position did you play, and what are some things you've taken just from as far as playing that you've kind of implemented as a coach?
I played point guard. I played for an experienced coach there too, Melvin Sweat. He's got 30 years in the game too. Just being observant, thinking the game or whatnot, and just being a basketball player. A lot of times players feel like just because you call a set, like you got to run it to a T every time. Sometimes the defense won't allow you to do that, and you gotta make a play. So a lot of the things we try to run here at Grayson, we've got options and counters, but at the same time, we tell our guards, like, if they're defending you in a manner which, makes it difficult or impossible to run the play, like, you got to make them pay for that. You got to be a basketball player. I think that's one of the reasons why our players are able to go on to the next level and they're ready to produce, because, we encourage them to be basketball players first before we start worrying about, systems and all that, because, you got to change up and tweak some things every year schematically based on your personnel.
Exactly. And for you, Coach, talking a little bit more about whose recent loss was to John Marshall. What kind of stood out to you in that game? I know you had to kind of watch it real quick because you played Parkview. Definitely want to talk about that game next. But what stood out to you in the game against John Marshall?
Man, they're a really good team. Really good team. Got some good veteranship. They made everything difficult. Made everything matter every possession. Right. Like, that's what we're trying to get our guys to see, that every possession counts in these high level games. I mean, any game, especially now that we're in region play. Like, every possession matters. Every loose ball matters. Every time you think, okay, it's cool, I had a careless turnover, like, nah, that's not cool. Turnovers happen, of course, but it's the turnovers and things of that nature, or, missing free throws or not diving for loose balls and boxing out. Those are things that'll get you beat, in a close game.
Right. And then last night was a victory. You beat Parkview 70-60. What kind of style in that game, Coach? What do you think your team did well as far as defensive end, offensive end? What kind of style to you in that game?
Yeah, I thought we did a really good job in that game. Just being deliberate with what we were trying to do offensively and defensively, kind of like imposing our will on the game, trying to make them adjust to us. I think sometimes, in these games, especially region games where you get scouted and things of that nature, you come in thinking you got a counter punch instead of, like I said, imposing your own will on the game. So I thought we did a good job. Like we got out to an early lead and didn't relinquish it. But our region, for my money, I think our region is the toughest in the state from top to bottom. Like there's going to be a couple of good teams that aren't going to make the state tournament just because only 4 get in. So for us to lead from start to finish in a region game, like you'll take that every time as a coach, especially in this region.
Yeah, your region is definitely tough, and I want to talk about that too. Just you got a game coming up. I think South Gwinnett. I believe they're 13-5. What stands out to you when you watch them play, and what are some things they kind of do well that you've seen on film?
They're going. They play hard. They play physical. Howard, he does a good job with them year in and year out. Like they're one of those teams. Like they're not going to beat themselves. Like you got to go take the game from them. So that's one of the things we've been working on in practice. Today, just again, just imposing your will on the game. Like it's going to be a physical game. We know that going into it. Howard, I have them ready to play, but just again, just being physical, valuing the ball, and just playing for each other. I think we'll be fine.
Yes, sir. Not looking too far ahead. Obviously, South Gwinnett is what's important now. But next week you play Newton, another team that's very
Mm-hmm.
talented. A lot of good players on their team. What kind of stands out there in your region as well? What kind of stands out, on film with them? It looks like a very athletic team, but what's some things that stand out when you watch them play?
Yeah, very athletic. They're going to play hard. They're shooting the ball well from the perimeter so far this year. They've got one of the best players in the country, Stephon Castle. Ever since they shuffled the region around, 5, 6 years ago, it's been a rivalry for us. We've been fortunate enough, to win the last 4 region championships or whatnot. But it's gonna be a battle. It's gonna be at their place. Their fans are really good at coming out to these games and creating a hostile environment for them. We just got to go in with the mindset that it's just us against the world. We can't worry about whether or not we're getting calls or what the fans are saying in the stands. Like we got to come in and impose our will. I know I keep saying the same thing, but that's just been a point of emphasis for us all year. Like we just want to be the aggressor.
Yes, sir. And I want to talk a little bit. I want to learn more about your team. So tell me about Kylan Fox. I know he plays football as well, has a whole bunch of offers. What does he bring to the basketball court? What are some things he does for you, offensively and defensively? And kind of tell me about a little bit about Fox's impact.
Man, I love coaching Fox. Love being around the kid. Like he's a winner. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't really care about his stats or shot attempts or none of that, right? Like he's all about winning. Like if you watch the game, like a civilian might pull up the box score, right, and see he got 2 points, 5 rebounds or whatever. But like as a coach or a basketball fan, or if you know the game and you actually watch the game and don't pay attention to the box score, like you see him out there taking charges, boxing out, communicating on defense. Just being tough. Things get physical or whatever, coming over to the scrum, having his teammates back, things like that. You know what I mean? Like just winning plays that don't really necessarily show up in a box score. Anybody that knows basketball knows you need those type of plays to win games, especially tough games. You know what I mean? So we're lucky to have Fox with us. He's been one of the leaders this year for us. And like you said, he's a high level football player, but like he's a winner. Like, he could play for any team in the state.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, definitely God's a stud. And, just hearing what you had to say about him as far as basketball just shows, who he is as a person and, how important it is to him and how serious he takes it. But another guy I've seen this he's been kind of tearing up the stat sheet recently. He's a young guy for you, Amir Taylor, sophomore. Really impressive rebounding the basketball, getting in the paint, getting his buckets. What also does he bring to the team? What has he been doing this year? And, sometimes you can see the young guys kind of struggle, but he's kind of taking that mantle and play well.
Well, see, Amir, he was fortunate. Well, I don't want to say fortunate due to the circumstances, but last year, he was penciled in to back Chad up at the 5 spot last year for us. But Chad got hurt first game of the season and missed, damn near like 24 games. Like Chad was out
Wow.
basically until we got to tournament time. So he was thrown into the fire early. He had a pretty good year for us. He did like 8 points, 5 rebounds as a freshman. And, nowadays with kids being all about themselves and things of that nature and worried about social media, Chad really did a good job putting his arm around the kid and, kind of being like a de facto mentor for him, to kind of show him the ropes. So, I'm not really surprised by Amir's play just because, he's got the experience and he's got the skill set. He's probably, you see the kid, he's like 6'8", 250 or whatever. He doesn't look like a super athlete and all that, but he's one of the most versatile players in the state, in my opinion. Like, he's a great passer. He can start the break with a pass or a dribble. I don't think anybody can guard him one-on-one on the box or at the pinch post, but he's so unselfish. Like, if you send a double, he's gonna make the right read and kick it out to whoever. You know what I mean? He's another one that doesn't really care about his stats. He plays the game the right way every time. Like, even if he's not playing at a high level for whatever reason, like, because nobody has great games all the time, but he's still he's another one that's a good teammate. Like, I can really say that about this group as fun. The coach, just like nobody's got like their own agenda. Everybody's trying to win.
That's a good thing. As you just mentioned, that is, hard, especially nowadays. Everybody has ego and social media is important, but sounding like this group is kind of tight knit and, they're unselfish and they care about the team element and, putting that first. So I think that's important. And for you, Coach,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen Grayson play, but how's your backcourt been this year? Tell me a little bit about, the backcourt, how they fit into the scheme and how you've done things schematically this year.
Yeah, they've played at a high level. I think, and I've told them to their face. I think they could play better, but I think they played at a high level. They're it's fun to coach because they have so much more room for growth these next couple months for the season. But they played at a high level, done a good job hitting shots and being aggressive, defending the ball. CJ, Jakari, Ant. Corey, he's been great for us. Corey, last we got a excuse me, we've got a freshman named Caden that's giving us good minutes. Excuse me, on the perimeter. Just some more kids that aren't counting their shots and points. Like, they're just trying to get a win every night. But yeah, our guards have been playing well. They
Yes,
can
sir.
play better, but they've been playing well.
Right, always room for improvement. So tell me, Coach, I want to talk about a game you played this year. You played Kale. It was overtime game, 71-67. I got a chance to see them recently in person. I noticed they were running kind of a full court press / trap. As soon as the guard would bring the ball to court, they were trapping them. I just want to know, just from in that game when you played them, did they run that same thing when they played you guys? How was that game? What kind of happened in that one?
Oh man, yeah, they ran a couple of different presses. We ended up going up like 10, third, fourth quarter, and they kept switching presses, and they found one that worked, and they actually cut the lead, took the lead, and we implemented a different press break. We actually entered it into Amir some, and he made some good reads. We were able to get down the court and get shots or whatnot. But yeah, their ball pressure was definitely an issue that game for sure. But luckily we were able to make the right adjustments and pull it out at the end. I think Ant and Jakari, they did a really good job that game. Not getting rattled and closing it out for us at the end from the field and from the free throw line.
Right, and then this year, coach, you've played some tough non-region games, and then also you already have a tough region. So, what do you think your kids can take away from kind of playing those tough games that's can kind of help you guys going into a region tournament and going into the postseason?
Yeah, I can't really speak on other programs or coaches what their mindset is when they're creating their schedule, but with us, the kids, like, we let the kids pick their goals right at the beginning of the year. So usually our kids, they're like, okay, we want to win region, we want to win state. So we just try to, as a coaching staff, or me as a coach, just try to put together a schedule that's going to challenge them before tournament time. Try to play different high level teams, but that play different styles. So there's no surprises once we get to region play. We just try to expose them to different things that might cause them issues during the course of a 32-minute game. So just to challenge them, not really be concerned with, of course you want to win every game, right? Like, that's why you put in all the work, that's why you practice. But at the end of the day, the only record that matters is your region tournament, state tournament, right? Like, so we just try to put them against high level competition and hostile environments, and put them in front of college coaches at these events so they can help them with their recruitment and things of that nature. But just try to get them ready to play once the games really count. And I think the schedule's done that so far. Like you said, our region is tough, but you can never play enough tough games before tournament time. Like, it's good to expose the kids to different things, have them deal with some adversity, because once you get into tournament time, man, it's just different. Like, I can't put it in words. Like, you got to kind of experience it for yourself, but expose them to various levels of difficulty and different things schematically, just to get them ready for the postseason.
It's true. All right, coach. Three more questions for you, and I'm gonna let you go. One, if you
All
had to
right.
assess where the team was starting the season and where they are now, what would you give them? What would you say? And then what would you say is an area, to kind of just keep improving, keep honing in on, keep kind of getting those daily deposits from to kind of help you guys down the line?
Yeah, I think we've definitely improved from the beginning of the year. That's your goal, right? Like, you never want to peak too early, right? Like, so from October, when tryouts and practices officially started, to now we're in January. Like, I'm happy with where we are. Like, we kind of, like I said earlier when you was asking about the guards. Like, I think we could be playing better, right? But that's just me as a coach. Like, I'm happy with where we are with all our youth. We've only got Chad Moody's our only senior on the roster. Shout out to Chad. I haven't really mentioned him in this conversation, but shout out to Chad. He's had a really good year for us, bouncing back from that injury he had last year. But I'm pleased with where we are, and like I said, I'm very, like, optimistic and happy to see, or to know, just like how much more room for improvement we have over the next several weeks before the tournament starts. So yeah, if I could put my finger on one thing, maybe, I don't know. I thought we'd be far better, but even with that, we're still shooting it at a high percentage. But that's that's just me. You know what I mean? I always
Right.
feel like we could be doing better, but it's not from lack of work. They're putting in work. They're a coachable group.
Got you. And then for you, coach, you made it as far last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was semifinal round against Berkmar, correct? Or was that
Yeah. Elite Eight. We
Elite
lost to
Eight? Thank
Berkmar
you
in the
for
Elite Eight.
correcting me. Yes, Elite Eight,
No worries.
Berkmar. Close loss in that one. Lost by 5 points, coach. You brought back the one senior. But what do you think your guys that were returning this year can kind of take from that and just help them, when you guys go again, having a great season, playing that tough region schedules that can help build you guys for what you want to accomplish?
Yeah. Yeah. Like Chad, Amir, Corey, Jakari, they all played in the game. Jakari actually had a really good game when we got beat by Berkmar. Just, once you get in the state tournament, man, a run to kill you, right? Like, you gotta be able to do some things to start some runs for yourself, and you got to do some things offensively and defensively to end runs for the other team. Like, runs are gonna happen. So if there's I think if there was anything to be learned by those guys from last year's game was just you know impose your will to start and finish these runs or end these runs. Like I know I probably said impose your will like 50 times on this one interview, but that's just been a point of emphasis for us this year.
Right.
We're talented, right? But you still got to go out there and play the game. So you gotta go out there and impose your will. I mean, and that's just really like a life lesson, right? Like
Yep.
nobody's gonna give you anything. Like you got to take it. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like it doesn't matter if it's sports. It doesn't matter professionally, your personal relationships, like whatever. Like we just try to, you know, we just try to get the kids to understand. Like once you leave your parents' house, man, ain't nobody gonna do nothing for you. You gotta take what you want.
You're
So
right.
that's
You're right
that's just
about
been the
that,
point of
coach.
emphasis for them.
Yeah, you're right
Right.
about
Like they
that.
think,
You teaching them right, coach.
yeah, they think it's sweet because they at the crib chilling or whatnot, man. But once you get out here, man, ain't nobody got nothing for you. You know what I'm
Nope.
saying? Like you gotta go take what you want.
You're right about that, coach. Yeah, it ain't sweet out here. You're teaching them right. And
Nah,
this last question, coach, you mentioned imposing your will. You mentioned the guards. You mentioned the centers. But just for you, I mean, you're like the growth that since you've been the head coach of Grayson, you guys been in the playoffs. You guys been knocking on the door consistently. Just how do you guys kind of get over that hump and kind of realize this team's full potential with how talented it really is?
man, it always when you get to tournament time, man, it just comes down to who wants it more and who's gonna focus on the little things, man. The little things will send you home. Like especially once you get into tournament time and you're constantly playing against good teams or good individual talent. It's three things: free throws, turnovers, and rebounds. Like those are the little things. Like you gotta master those. You gotta want to dominate those three areas. If you can win two out of those three areas in any game, your chances of success and moving on and not getting sent home is greater. So, one thing I've learned as a coach over the years, like every time we get put out, I can look at the stat sheet and we lost at least two of those things, sometimes three. You know what I mean? So just little things, man. Getting these teenagers to understand the importance of, you know what I mean, taking care of the little things.
Yes, sir. Certainly. Well, pleasure interviewing you, coach. I appreciate you taking the time today to come on my podcast. Good luck to your team the rest of the way, coach. Looking forward to seeing you guys in the postseason and seeing who comes out victorious in that really tough region you guys are in. But y'all having a great year and enjoy you coming on the show today.
I appreciate it, man. We're actually hosting the region, man. So if you think you're coming up, man, I'll leave you passes at the gate. Come
Wait,
come watch us.
say,
Come watch the
wait, say
tournament.
that again. You broke up, coach.
No, I was saying we actually host the region tournament this year. So if you feel like you coming out, hit me up. I'll leave you some passes at the gate.
Okay, bet. I appreciate that, coach. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. You guys hosting the tournament, I definitely want to come out. Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
coach.
come out, man. It's gonna be a really good region tournament, man. Many talented teams in the region.
Okay, you know when it is? The date?
It's the week of I believe that Saturday is it February 10th? So it starts that Monday. Hold on, it's February. It starts February 13th.
February 13th. Okay, cool.
Yep.
I appreciate it, coach. I'm gonna definitely come out.
Yeah. Once we set the bracket, I'll send it to you so you can kind of like map out how you want to handle it.
All right, cool. Thanks, coach. Appreciate you so much.
All good, man. Talk to you.
Talk to you. All right, coach. Have a good one, man.
All right. All right.
Wow. So that was cool. Just got invited to a region tournament. That was pretty cool. Thank you, coach, for extending that invite. I gotta see if my buddy here will want to come with me, Craig, because we go to everything together.
Fame game.
Huh?
I said you were at Grayson for the Hall of Fame game.
That is true. I was at Grayson for the Hall of Fame game, so that was a lot of fun covering that. But seeing some people went off, we seen their running back, Joe Taylor, excuse me, go off, and we seen Bryce Dobson go off and get that tech offer right after. But guys, a lot, really fun show. I appreciate you guys staying over. This went over a little bit, but that was a lot of fun talking to Grayson. Really good program. 12-4 this season. Really big teams coming up, so can't wait to see what happens with them. I think, seeing the matchups in a couple of days, South Gwinnett and Newton, I think will tell a lot about their team and how far they can go. And like I said, you gotta love hoops. So you guys stay tuned. We got a big show tomorrow. My fellow co-host Craig is gonna be having a show tomorrow. He's gonna be bringing on, I think you said
Corey Mobbs.
Gory Mobs. Who's she coach for?
Gianna,
Huh?
East Jackson.
East Jackson coach. He's going to bring her on tomorrow. So tune in for that. It'll be live tomorrow at noon. So stay tuned for that. And tomorrow I will be posting on Score Atlanta, scoreatl.com. Go check that out. I will be posting 4A Game of the Week, McDonough, Pace Academy. Again, if you have nothing to do, you're in the area, you're in Henry County, go check that game out. The game's going to be really good. Both teams are at the top of their region. And also, if another game, if you're in the Gwinnett area, I think that Grayson and South Gwinnett game tomorrow is going to be good as well. It's both teams battle for the region tournament. So definitely stay tuned for that. And I will see you guys next week. And stay tuned for our show on Tuesday, Underrated and Overlooked Podcast. We'll be breaking down NFL divisional round, more high school news, and everything that's been going on inside of the transfer portal as far as NCAA. And big news, guys. I'm sure everybody knows this by now. You have to be living under a rock if you don't. But star A.D. Mitchell entered the transfer portal. He is not going to be at Georgia anymore. In their games, in the playoff games, he performed great. All of them against Michigan in the Peach Bowl. He had a great, season for them. But obviously, I think he did the most he could do, and I think he just wants to, have another opportunity. So a couple of Georgia players have actually entered in the portal, so we'll see what happens with him. But big stuff going on. Shout out to all the players and their commitments and the offers they've been getting. Shout out to the seniors. I know signing day is actually around the corner. I think it is in February. I'll find out the date and tell about it, next week for sure. But thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Keeping It Real with Najeh Wilkins. Thanks to all the fans and all the supporters. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend, and peace.